All right. Hey guys, welcome to another stream. And today I'm going to be going through, it says driver ratings. I haven't actually finished going through it, but I'll show you what I've been working on. It's my 2025 driver ups and downs. We'll go back. I've got through most of it. And then there's some more sort of, I don't like comparing drivers in the top like comparing the Triple Eight drivers to the BRT drivers because it's not the same experience. So I don't think it's a fair comparison to have everybody being compared on the same level. I think it's fair to compare people within the same team. If you're not beating your teammate, you're not doing a good enough job. So here we've got Chaz Mostert. 13 out of 34 times Chaz out-qualified Ryan Wood. And so I've got highlighted the times that he out-qualified Woody. And I am including that race at Albert Park where I think it might have been a dry session, but I can't remember exactly. And so I do count that, but some of the numbers might be a little bit wrong in that respect. Because sometimes the easiest way to count such a high number is to go backwards from 34 because there was 34 races this year. So yeah, Chaz Mostert, and I do actually want to have them stacked up against one another to see out of the top drivers who actually did the best job, or maybe did a better job than other top drivers. So it's not there's not really a lot to know whether these numbers are good or not. 28 top 15 finishes, 29 top 15 qualifyings is good, but there's obviously looks like there's plenty of times where they qualified not very well. So one at Darwin, one at Townsville, a couple at Tassie, and that odd one at Albert Park. I think he got held up by Will Brown or something. And I think Will Brown actually started further back as well because of that. Then you got Matt Payne. And some of these are interesting. This is a number that comes up quite a lot, which is that 25 out of 34 times Matt Payne out-qualified Kai Allen. So the 25 out of 34 times, that comes up a lot for some reason. So, which sort of shows like Kai Allen did a pretty good job. Like towards the end of the year, Kai started performing a bit better and started actually out-qualifying Matt. But those last two races, Matt out-qualified Kai. But he did let him through in that second race so that he could help him in the finals. And then in that last race, I was surprised that he didn't sort of back up the field a little bit or something, but no, he just bolted and went for the win, which is fine. Good for the team to get the win. And make sure that you're taking those maximum points away from Chaz and Brock Feeney and Will Brown. So, but you can see Matt Payne did a better job of the top 15 qualifying than Chaz, but I think people say, and we've probably all been thinking, that Chaz is maybe getting over the hill. Maybe he had a Mark Winterbottom sort of year, like this was his year to perform, and it was like do or die because next year Woody's gonna have it in spades over Chaz, and Chaz isn't going to be able to out-qualify Woody all the time, and he's not going to be able to out-race him all the time. And that's been the difference, that Chaz has just been a better racer in 2025 versus Woody. So, not a lot to say about Matt Payne. He probably would have been second in the championship if it wasn't for that incident with Waters. I think he was second for the round at Adelaide. So he would have ended up second in the championship, but he obviously didn't make it through to the finals or to the grand final. And by the way, this number in brackets, that's for finals. So it gives you a bit of an idea of how well they performed. So like Chaz performed incredibly well, um, except for that second race at Adelaide, 12th in qualifying. So not, which was obviously because of the issue in qualifying that they had. But so he could have been better because he's qualifying brilliantly, top fives in every single one apart from that one. So he had pace to do it. Then we've got Will Brown, who came third for the round. Obviously because of Brock Feeney's engine trouble, wiped him out of the took him out of the championship, and dropped his championship position further down than it probably would have been. So 2 times that Brownie out qualified Brock Feeney. Got a pole at Tassie, impressively, and 12th at Taupo. So that was a lot more to do with Brock not turning it on because he qualified 20th in that race at Taupo. And because just for some reason the way I've organised some of these spreadsheets, it's a bit of a mess. So it's over here. Obviously his qualifying wasn't very good. That's annoying me, that bracket. I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, was that 24 top 10 qualifyings, 19 for Will Brown. So I think that compared to a lot of the field, he will look a lot worse for wear. But 13 top fives versus Matt Payne, so it's pretty much the same. Apart from he only got 1 top 5 qualifying in Adelaide, which was good, but he just didn't quite have the race pace. And something that people always say about in races, they say, "Oh, if I qualified better, I would have won the race." But that doesn't just because you are able to race up to fifth doesn't mean you were going to be able to come first the next race just because you qualified 15th the previous race. Like it just means you've got pace for fifth. It doesn't mean that, and maybe tire condition would be better, but I don't always believe that it's going to be. You need to make improvements in both sides. You need to have a faster qualifying car and a faster racing car. And obviously, qualifying has to do with driver skills. Sometimes they might make mistakes. They might just have trouble getting the setup right, and getting the tires in the right temperature window. So yeah. Then we got Kai Allen. Oh, did I forget to write down how many times Kai out? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, I was at 9 out of 34 times Kai Allen out qualified Matt Payne. Which is for a rookie season pretty good. Matt Payne is a very fast driver. And I think just looking at those raw numbers there, Kai did a really good job. I think people wrote him off. They said, "Oh, he wasn't very good at the start of the year," but he qualified 10th in his first race. I don't think there was too much shenanigans going on in that first qualifying session at SMP. And just bad start in that first one, and then just didn't quite get things right at all in that second one. But 13th stayed 13th, solid race, and started having a lot more solid races. Got the Taupo, started racking up top 10s in qualifying and racing, and got spun on that first lap at Taupo. Some of that lap 1 stuff was really aggressive at Taupo, which we liked the battle between Brody and Chaz, but we didn't like seeing people getting taken out for no reason. Like just especially turn 1, people just running wide, turning each other around. I don't think that stuff was on. But it was Perth when he put together a solid weekend, 9th in the points. And from there on, he was pretty much on for scoring great results. So, and I think at the bend, he had to do the 3 stop as well. So he got caught out there, just like Chaz. Brody Kostecki, not amazing. So we look at maybe just comparing to Kai Allen. Um, very good for Brody in comparison, but I think maybe we just expect more because he's a champion and because we feel like if he was given a better car, he would have been qualifying better and racing better. He should have been battling for the championship, but it was just like top 10 in the points, but it wasn't like top 5 in the points. He got a couple where he's top 5 in the points, but plenty where he just wasn't top 5 in the points. Apart from those last 2 rounds, but even then, he wasn't going to win the championship. And Brock was the guy to beat all year. People have been talking about, you know, Brock's really going to step it up this year. He's going to really step it up for 2026. And I thought, Brock doesn't need to change anything because he didn't do anything wrong. Things when things went wrong, it wasn't because he did anything. You got the slow fuel rate at the bend and the engine failure, the engine issue at Adelaide. If any of that if that stuff didn't happen, he would be the champion. But that's motor racing. Stuff just goes wrong sometimes. And it's really unfortunate for a guy like Brock because he just hadn't put a foot wrong, had the most incredible season, and destroyed everyone. He dominated the year. But you got to remember, at the start of the year, he didn't lead the championship. So it's not like it was total perfection. He didn't have the championship lead until after Tassie, because things didn't quite go right at SMP. I think Will Brown had a better round. So second, first, and then his year started to not be quite as good. And then Brock started just smashing everyone for the rest of the Sprint Cup, but would have done a lot better. I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I think there was something about. Maybe I'll go back to that. Because I think I need to think about it more. Whether Brock would have won the championship if he didn't have that engine issue. Because I think that Woody was in the wrong for spinning Feeney, but I think that Feeney could have left a gap as well. It goes both ways. And it wasn't a pretty way to see Chaz win the championship, but Chaz didn't do anything wrong in that race, and so he had a great final, and he deserves the championship because of that. So yeah, performed brilliantly, peak Chaz, and we might not see that again because we've got Woody, who's performed brilliantly, but. Well, I look at Woody's results, like he probably would have had a better time. Things just going wrong in several races. But when things didn't go wrong, third. That's where he was. I think Chaz was second pretty much all the time. So the 3 wins there, and fourth there. I think that's in that second race. Woody had his issue as well, and second in every single race. But yeah, I think Woody's going to be really good next year. So then we go to Anton. Anton didn't have the greatest start to the year, but he raced really well. And qualifying trim didn't quite start getting good until Taupo. But he was racing very well, and things just like Team 18 screwing things up, racing incidents. And I don't think he got a penalty for spinning Cam Hill in that one at Tassie, but they just didn't have the pace at all. He qualified in the top 10, but then things just gone wrong. He was very good at and very good in the races actually in finals. Not quite as good as we might have hoped like he wasn't going to win the championship, but he was qualifying very well. Top 10s and quite a few top 5s as well in qualifying. That's 4 out of 7 races. So Anton surprised me. But it looks like he probably could have had an even better year if some of those issues that the team had wouldn't have happened and he didn't try too hard to get past James Courtney. Maybe things would have been different, but I think he definitely needed to get past Courtney to get in the finals. So it was do or die, and history shows it was die. So then we've got Andre Heimgartner. Now we've got a lot of different colours going on here because it's a 4-car team. So yellow is means he out-qualified all of his teammates. Orange means second best. Red means third best, and purple means fourth best. So it's interesting to look at things like that. Because I think he out-qualified all of his teammates a third of the time, which is pretty good. Because if he had like 3 teammates that are all equally as good as him, it'd be less. It'd be like 8 times that he out-qualified all his teammates. But for the most part, it was mostly Andre doing a great job. But he was obviously racing a lot better than he was qualifying. I don't think that's a driver issue. I think the team was struggling all year pretty much. It was going to be a bit of a stretch to see him get in the finals, but he was hanging on for dear life. And we see quite a few races like Tassie, Perth, had one good one at Darwin, but then back to normal proceedings at Townsville, Queensland. The bend was awful. Top 10 at Bathurst probably brought him back in the picture. And but I think he got passed by was it Brock Feeney, which knocked him out and got Kai Allen into the finals. But that's the way it is. I am not a fan of this new rule that they've introduced where if you get knocked out of the finals, then you go back to the way your points were. I think that's disrespectful for the work that the teams did all year. So I think like we look at this year, Cam Waters and Thomas Randall had a bad Sandown and got knocked out for Adelaide, and then didn't have a particularly good Adelaide, which meant that like Andre could have maybe made gains there and got past him, but or even Brody would have got past him. But I think it's disrespectful for the teams that actually got things right. Like Brody screwed up; he crashed the car at Gold Coast, and then they made a very risky strategy. And the same went for Walkinshaw with Ryan Wood. I still believe that the maintenance of the cars and whether the cars actually do everything that they need to do, that's on the teams for car preparation. If your car's having issues all the time, that's something going wrong with the team there. And you didn't see it happen very often with Brock Feeney. It only happened once all year, and that cost him. Then you got the fuel flow rate issue, which a lot of teams have had trouble with all year, and I got them at the wrong time. It's a team effort. You can't put everything on the driver all the time. So, yeah. And we got Cam Waters. And I think because of the way things ended for him, getting knocked out at Sandown, probably put a bit of a taint on the end of the year. We sort of expect Cam to be really good at Gold Coast and Adelaide, and he was pretty good at Gold Coast, 4th and 5th. But Adelaide wasn't great, but those last 2 qualifying performances were not good. Got caught out in the second one, but for some reason just didn't get it right at all in that third one. But yeah, I think Cam Waters probably had a better year than it seemed. Like he was pretty good most of the year, and it just went wrong at Sandown. We probably expected him to up the ante to maybe Chaz's level or somewhere near Chaz's level. But maybe that's just not something that was in his control. So that's just the year he had. So I wouldn't say that. And he smashed his teammate. He smashed Thomas Randall. There's another 25-34 going on there, which is 26-34. How many were there? Yeah, it comes up a couple of times. So, what's that? Matt Payne and Kai Allen, and then Waters and Randall. Randall once again, just surprising that he ended up 7th in the championship. I think I predicted him to be like 12th or something. So he did a pretty respectable job, but I think I just expect so much more from Randall. I think by the time you get to your 4th year, you should not be getting destroyed by your teammate in qualifying, and you shouldn't be having incidents getting in races happening. Got caught out in Adelaide with a crash. He probably would have been top 10 in Adelaide in points, but that crash took him out. I think like not everybody can be in the top 5, so you got to pick and choose them. But it just seems like Randall's not there to pick up the paces when things go wrong for Cam. That's the way it seems. Then James Courtney. He did get out qualified quite a few times. Aaron Love out qualified him in that second race, which I think was the Saturday race, which was the one that he got crashed into by Aaron Love in qualifying, which was why he started 25th. So, then had a crash in practice causing him miss qualifying, and I was thinking, do I count that as do I count that against JC and say, well, he crashed, so he missed qualifying, so therefore his teammate, like that should go against him, or do I just leave it and say they need to be able to set a lap to show that whether they're good or not? So I'm tending towards the latter. But a decent amount of times, respectable amount of times that Aaron Cameron out qualified James Courtney. But most of the time it was JC. And you can see JC racing forwards a little bit more often, which is good to see. And BRT did improve. Like, we sort of expected them to be sort of the worst team in the year, but I think we did expect them to improve. I think they were talking about saying, "Oh, we're making improvements," but I think Premier said the same thing, and their year probably looked a lot worse than it was. And we'll see that in a bit when I go through James Golding stuff, which I think I just finished before I started streaming. Dave Reynolds obviously got cleaned up by Anton, but pretty good qualifying, just not quite getting in there in the races. Things going wrong in the races. Like strategy just went wrong there at Gold Coast. And dropped a lot of positions at Townsville, which is no race pace, I guess. Incident there, running wide, but I just don't think he quite had the race pace at Townsville at all. He dropped positions in every single race, but his qualifying wasn't too bad. Yeah, and Cameron Hill, pretty much cleaned up against Nick Percat, which is interesting to see. But his qualifying was better than his races, which is interesting. I think maybe things went wrong more often, or he had a lot more issues. I think at Sandown he hit the fence, and so had to get garaged. Don't remember too much going wrong for him at Adelaide in that second race, but I'd have to go back through it. Mechanical failure at the Gold Coast. I think something just went wrong with the car. Racing was very aggressive at Townsville, like I've said it a couple of times this year. some aggressive racing. Oh, I'm getting a bit dizzy, a bit exhausted, so I need to just take it easy a bit. Um, I'm only 25 minutes in, but at some stage, once I finish going through all this, I will just chill and just sort of relax and go through things. I have had some feedback saying that I can be a bit boring, so I am trying to do my best and improve things. Um, yeah, I definitely want to do that for the first part of the stream. Obviously, there's a bit of a conflict with the way I do this, which is like I don't want to have to spend so much time preparing because then it is too much work. The goal of the streams was to have it be chill, be able to say the things that I want to say, and not, and then be able to cut things into clips. And I think tomorrow is the last clip that I've got, but I'll be able to start going through things, and so I'm actually going to edit them into better clips because obviously some of the clips there's just dead air for like half the thing, so I want to improve that. So yeah, MSR they say it sort of fell off a cliff, but it's interesting. Ludo said when he announced he was leaving Premiere, there's not really any need for a guy like him. The cars apparently are the fastest in the straight or fastest top end speed, and he says it's much more about the drivers. And so that's interesting, and that sort of maybe explains why Declan Fraser and Jaden Ojeda are getting picked for next year. And maybe we should be putting more pressure on the drivers to perform. But sometimes I think car preparation does matter. It's not like if the teams aren't preparing the cars well enough. I think Peter Gibber said something about it as well. So it would be good to go through things in the off season. There's obviously not going to be any interesting news apart from their win shear, I think, for a week or something. Or so we'll be hearing some stuff about that. How they're preparing the cars against one another. But yeah, I'm gonna go through a lot of things as much as I can and see if I can improve my statistical analysis. So yeah, Cam Hill had a great year. But I guess he felt like the team was starting to fall away. He was talking about looking at his options, which maybe sort of says he feels like the team is not as good as they used to be. He feels like maybe he could go to a better team. I feel like MSR give their drivers better opportunities than Brad Jones do. Um, but it's difficult to say because Nick Percat, you could say, is a higher caliber driver than Bryce Fullwood. And Andre is probably a higher caliber driver than Cam Hill. But Cam Hill has been improving, so we're going to find out next year. So yeah, Will Davison. Qualifying was actually quite good. 3 top 5 qualifyings, but the one there at Townsville, slow pit stops, ran wide, bumped by Di Pasquale. Things just not quite going right for him. Qualifying very well though, at Townsville, but he did have some top 10 finishes. So apart from that one at Townsville, he usually did race his way forwards. But obviously qualifying against Brody, he had nothing. It was just sort of like if something went wrong. Apart from maybe, I think in that third one, Brody didn't use greens, but I think Will Davison had used tyres as well. He just had better qualifying speed. Now here we got Jimmy Golding, which is the last one that I went through. Actually, I didn't even finish going through it. So after I finish going through it, we'll go back. I'll go to being quiet, I guess, or maybe I'll just try and rattle along and just go for an hour. But maybe I will just stream myself going through the data and we'll just count it all for it, and I'll just try to take a deep breath and relax at the end. So you can see Jimmy Golding's qualifying is better than his races. Obviously, I haven't quite done the top 15s yet, so his top 15 finishes might have been better than his qualifying. but he did look like he dropped a few spots in the races. Were some incidents there. They got caught out by a safety car, but maybe something better could have been done. He got held up by Courtney. I don't know if that was when he was in the lead. Can't quite remember. Ran wide in practice, but practice doesn't really mean anything. But I do think maybe if you're making mistakes in practice, the setup isn't quite right and you're not quite comfortable with the car. Things just weren't great for Premier at Townsville. Even after they were saying they had great top line speed at Darwin, they didn't really convert into great race pace. So they just didn't have their setups right. Queensland, he was not too bad, but Richie Stanaway was actually quite a lot better that weekend. Bathurst, they just got the strategy right, nailed it, and had a little incident with Cooper Murray. Got 5 seconds for tagging him. And I think it was fine. I think I was on Speed Cafe, people confusing Cooper Murray with David Reynolds. They were saying something like, what were they saying? Were they saying people were confusing stuff because I think they were talking about saying Golding and Reynolds, and I'm like, what? Because there was an incident like after Golding tagged Murray. I don't know if it was the same lap. I think it was, or maybe it was the lap after where Reynolds had to go on Payne and almost put him in the fence. But he got away with it, and Payne ended up getting the win. Some mechanical issues for Jimmy at the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast just does not go well for Premier for some reason, and they're just 15th, 16th. Not really coming top 10 in the championship. And you can see it might have been 50-50 qualifying, but yeah. Now I'm about to go through that, so I'm just going to take a deep breath and relax. And then we'll go through things, and I'm just going to chill, and you can just yeah, this is just what I'm going to do for the rest of the stream, so I can get my numbers in. I'm going to move the microphone away. So that's a tiny bit better than Richie Stanaway and Jimmy Golding versus Richie. And a much better race performances in the top 15s. That's about the same as what Andre got in terms of out qualifying his teammates. It's 14 for Andre, 13 for Bryce Forward. So that's pretty good. Like in terms of qualifying trim, Bryce kind of had Andre almost he had him pretty close there. You see Jackson Evans versus Macca Jones. In terms of top 15 qualifyings, Jackson had it over Macca. But he didn't get a top 5. So I think it looked like he just struggled after having those crashes, that it sort of just caught him out and maybe took the wind out of his sails, and so he struggled a lot more. And obviously he got more top 10 finishes as well, but yeah, it's interesting. Like Jackson was pretty damn good all year, but I think a lot of things went wrong for him, which very unfortunate. And the team sort of said, "Yeah, you're not going to be the champion, so bye bye." Bit rough for Jackson. Bit of a mixed bag for Percat at the end of the year. I think thing is just like he qualified well. They just did not have a race car at the end of the year. Like, couldn't he only broke the top 15 once in the finals time. It's just, and yeah, maybe it's just because they just didn't have a race car. I don't know, man. Juice. This is not counting Juice's time in with Ryan Wood, because obviously Woody qualified the car. Not setting the world on fire there for Jaden Ojeda, but they weren't really worried about him getting results, just about preparing him for the new year. Cooper Murray is an interesting one because you can see here he actually just starts improving towards the back end of the year. Jack LeBrock versus Jaden Ojeda. Did I do Jack LeBrock? No. But, well, I haven't got up to him yet. But Jack LeBrock was actually out qualifying Cooper Murray for the first half of the year. And then from like Queensland onwards, Cooper's got it over Jack. And that's interesting to see because like we sort of know that Cooper's really fast and he can pull out a really fast lap. But I think Jack's back end of the year looked a lot worse. Cooper's consistency is his biggest issue, and I think I'm betting he's going to improve next year. I'm betting on a new and improved Cooper Murray in 2026. I'm going to be like, we know that Erebus cars are good. We know Cooper Murray's got lots of talent. They'll tidy him up for 26, and he's not going to come 18th in the championship next year. One, two. I'll bring this a bit closer so you can. I mean, you could probably see my face while I was talking anyway. That's 2 top 5 qualifying, and then that's all year. His racing really let him down this year, but I think we'll see him be better than that. I think his qualifying will be better, and I think his racing will be better. It's interesting. There's a few people with the same initials. So you got CM, Cooper Murray and Chaz Mostert. You got BF, Brock Feeney and Bryce Forward. I do wonder if Jack LeBrock is sort of is past it in some capacity, but like he was in like quite a lot of top 15s through the Enduros and Gold Coast, but then they just didn't have anything at Sandown or Adelaide. Like he wasn't doing a bad job at all. He just sort of dropped at the end there, 17th in the championship. Not that they were in danger of being top 10 in the championship, but I thought maybe 12th or 14th might have been a possible result. All right. I'm thinking I might leave the stream here and come back next week with all of my information shown and not have to be thinking about putting on a little show and stuff like that. I think I'll be better off just chilling. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.